considering the fact that Akwa Ibom State is also one of the largest contributors to the oil that is feeding Nigeria, and is more or less like a clarion call on the relevant government agencies in Akwa Ibom State to rise to do their due diligence and ensure that the NNPC is back. Some of the parliamentarians have said, yes, there's been a concern that they're not even selling fuel different from other, dealers in the petroleum industry, but then having that work would also, to a large extent, reduce the clusters across all the filling stations. And of course, it is something that is due as Akwa Ibomites and citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We're also looking at President Ahmed Bola Tinubu's speech to Nigerians yesterday, where he spoke about the plans by his administration to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. And of course, we'll also be talking about the NLC planned nationwide protest that is billed for tomorrow, the second day in the month of August. And of course, recall I said before earlier on the floor of the People's Parliament, it will be joined by the NLC chairman, hopefully via phone call. And of course, now we have the special privilege of hosting Dr. Atem Frank, who's an associate professor of political science and public administration, the University of Uyo, and is also a public affairs analyst and a regular commentator on national and international affairs. Is widely published in national and international journal, and of course is also a consultant in organizational development, among other things. Good morning and welcome to the plenary, Doctor.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. Good morning to every Nigerian listening to this station.
All right, let's quickly look at the issue on ground. Yesterday, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu spoke to Nigerians, and he highlighted the plan of his administration and what he intends to do as a way of cushioning the effect of fuel subsidy, removal on the part of Nigerians. He spoke about 3,000 buses to the respective state. He spoke about investing in manufacturers in Nigeria. He spoke about the MSMEs. But looking at the president's speech and the plan palliative, the argument first and foremost is that these are all long-term measures that the president is speaking about and not immediate measures that Nigerians are actually clamoring for. First question, what's your first reaction to the fact that Ahmed Bola Tinubu took almost 2 months before eventually speaking to Nigerians after announcing the end of fuel subsidy removal?
First, it is wrong and very annoying that it took that much time for him to come address us on this issue. But let's give it to him that he eventually did. Where we're coming from, we were on COVID-19 lockdown, and Buhari never came to speak to us. So for that reason, this one has done, he gets 1 point for that. On the other issues you've thrown up, his plans, all these have long-term plan. What happened in the short term? What happened in the medium term? Every plan has that 3 components: immediate, medium, and long term. Nigerians are clamoring for short-term plan. Recall in Taraba State that the people have broken out onto the streets and got to get food for themselves. That has spilled over. Bushfire effect to Adamawa State. Recall that right now in your state, the people are blocking entrance to government house. Recall that in Edo State, something like this is happening. So this is a bushfire effect going around because everybody has stomach, and to manufacturers. Who is manufacturing in Akwa Ibom? How do we in Akwa Ibom State benefit from that? So these are all long-term plans. And then we need something in the short and the immediate term because hunger is walking the streets.
Okay, so in Adamawa State yesterday, we saw Nigerians break into warehouses of NEMA and other food storage facilities to steal and cart away food and other items. And of course, the Adamawa State government came out to condemn the act while also acknowledging the fact that hunger and starvation is raging through the country. This morning, we've seen that there's been a bickering between the federal government and the senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights activist Femi Falana over the federal government's standpoint that it is illegal for the Nigerian Labour Congress and other unions, and indeed Nigerians by extension, to go on a nationwide protest as far as fuel subsidy is concerned. But the NLC, on the other side, have insisted that they are going to embark on that protest is enshrined in the Constitution of the federal government of Nigeria. there has been this conversation that maybe Nigeria is gradually moving from democratic system of government to something other than maybe autocracy or anarchy. As a political science and political affairs analyst, I'd like to hear, where do you see this going in the event that the federal government, rather than look at holistic measures to ameliorate the sufferings of Nigerians, they're looking for a way to muzzle Nigerians into being quiet?
Absolutely. In the democratic space and democratic practices, protested. Let a protest in Lagos against the government of Jonathan. Recall, Buhari himself protested. Yegun was with him. They protested. And that was trying democracy. And they called the judge, I think I've forgotten the name of the judge, who presided over the matter, that indeed it was their right to protest. If that was the case, today, NLC and the Nigerians have the right to, and Nigerians have a right to protest. So it is an element, a tool of democracy, to take to the people, to take to the duty bearers, the import of how they feel. So clear and clean public protest is an element of democracy. 1. 2, that they protested and now they don't want somebody to protest means that they are drifting into dictatorship. Okay? Then 3, the point is clear that the government should do something much more to and answer the question and attend to the people. The people feel that all that the media like you are doing it palliative. Let me ask. Then you turn around and say the rest of Nigerians, only a fraction will get 8,000 naira or 10,000 naira as the case may be. That amount is an amount to institute poverty in those families. Remember, it's not per head, it's per household. So whether you are 20 in the household or 10 or whatever, it's 8 or 10,000 naira for you. Then for 109 people, 70 billion for them, 109, and then plus 400 and something member of the lower house of National Assembly. How do you interpret and explain that? Now, on the cases of the jurisdiction of the court, recall that the court, there was an issue in which that no strike was pronounced, and not the current issue. So if the government is interpreting the jurisdiction, the subsisting, and like a subsisting order to this, then it is at their own peril. Thank God you said Falana is taking them on that. So it is right that Nigerians should go, like Tinubu did in 2012, like Buhari did another time, to
in the conversation, the fear. The NSAS saw Nigerians raising the flags, and then we saw militaries coming out. Even the government of Lagos State is saying nobody died at the Lekki toll gate, incident that happened. Even when they have come out to say we are planning to bury NSAS, victims, but nobody is alluding to the fact that this person actually were gunned down at the Lekki toll gate. One of the conversations many have asked has been, every time there is a protest, there is some kind of an hijacking activities, which many have alleged is oftentimes sponsored by state actors at this point. And that has always been the fear that when people go to the street to protest genuinely for concerns that the government should address, this other situation happens. And before you know it, under the guise of the fact that criminal element or criminal activities have happened, the government would step in and the force of the law or the force of the state would be used against the people. Now, how do Nigerians get to exercise their fundamental rights of peaceful association, peaceful protest, calling and holding government accountable through these kinds of...
Like I said, there is a ribbon some people might just carry. If you're not carrying the ribbon...
Naira. Now, this 125 billion naira will be given as business loans with a 9% interest per annum. Most times in Nigeria, in as much as business operators and business owners would want to loan, is always targeted at, if it is coming from the government, let's have a single-digit loan, or let's have a business grant with a sizable year's moratorium for payback time. But we're seeing 9%. And then two questions are coming to the parts of Nigeria. First, 9%, how much would this 9% amount to when you're talking about yearly returns from their respective businesses? That is the first question. Second concern, how